Hey guys, welcome back to Pixel Juice. Today I want to talk a little bit about the Resident Evil 4 remake. So let's get straight into it. So I'm a massive fan of Resident Evil 4. Such a big fan, I own it on pretty much every console, including VR as well, which I think is an amazing version. And if you haven't tried that, you should definitely give it a go. But I'm very excited as well for the Resident Evil 4 remake that's coming to next-gen consoles in March next year. Even better for me, as a pauper and someone with basically no money, it's coming out for PlayStation 4, and that I already own. So I'm going to be able to get this bad boy when it comes out on day one. I was considering getting next-gen console just for this game, but now those boys at Capcom have done me proud and put on PS4, so I'm looking forward to playing it. So cheers Capcom for that one. But really, in today's video, I just want to talk a little bit about what I'm looking forward to in the game. So as we know, this game is the brand new version of Resident Evil 4, following the footsteps of 2 and 3 that have been remade already, and this is going to be something incredible, hopefully. As you can see, it looks fantastic already. You can see these tiny bits of gameplay we've been shown so far, and it's coming out in March next year, so I'm imagining we're going to be seeing a lot more of this game before then. We've even got a Resident Evil showcase coming right up, which I'll be covering on this channel. But if we want to look down at some of these screenshots, I mean, it is looking absolutely fantastic. You can see here that Leon's been completely redesigned, looking more like he did in Resident Evil 2 Remake, but he's got his iconic kind of leather jacket on there. Got the scene walking up to the hut at the beginning of the game there, and then going into the village itself as well. And you can see the detail and everything is absolutely incredible. This is the pathway leading up to the actual village itself at the beginning. We've got, again, an aerial shot looking down from like the clock tower. So that's looking absolutely awesome. But there are some things I want them to include in the game and some things I don't want them to mess up, basically. Resident Evil 4 is a very special game to a lot of people, including myself, and I've had some very fond memories playing it through with my mates. And it's one of the first major horror games I kind of got into in the past. So, in this video, I just want to talk a little bit about what I'm looking forward to seeing in Resident Evil 4, and what I definitely want Capcom not to mess up on. So the first thing I don't want them to mess up on is the humour. Now, Resident Evil 4 has some very strange, kind of like dark humour that I think a lot of people enjoyed about the game. It was very campy, very silly, and the game went on for a long time and had like multiple different villains that would come in, and they were kind of like caricatures of these kind of horror villains you'd find in old movies and B-movies, that kind of thing. And Leon would always be quipping and making jokes as he was going through the adventure.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
I've been expecting you, my brethren.
No thanks, bro.
And so with Ashley and the other characters as well. It was very different from other Resident Evil games in the way that it was scary, but the focus wasn't on horror as much this time, it was on the action. There were a few jump scares in there, but primarily the fear was brought on by being kind of hoarded around by enemies, and it just being you versus tons and tons of these vicious and smart new zombies, the Las Plagas. So it looks like from these screenshots they're going to be putting in a lot more emphasis on the horror and kind of the environment, which is great. But I just hope they don't lose that kind of, that element that made Resident Evil 4 so special and so standout, that was also its characters and its strong sense of humour and kind of cheesiness. I hope they keep that in there. Second of all, I think most people would agree that the game structure is pretty good. It can feel a little bit long sometimes, I think, on multiple playthroughs. I have played it through time and time again, which obviously you start to remember the game and maybe get bored of certain sections of it. So maybe it's just me, but I find the game is a little bit too long in some places, especially as it gets nearer the end. It just drags on a little bit, especially when you get to that military compound place and there's those guys with massive miniguns. That bit, it starts to get a little bit tedious. So there might be ways of streamlining the story a little bit and getting to plot points a bit faster and cutting out some of the fluff. That doesn't include most of the game. Most of the game's absolutely fine. I enjoy pretty much 95% of the game, and there's only like 5% that I'm a little bit on. So I'm hoping they're not going to cut out too much like they did with Resident Evil 3 Remake, but I definitely think there are sections that you could just get rid of, a little bit like the Chainsaw Man, and cut them out. I also hope that the Mercenaries returns in Resident Evil 4. I think Separate Ways has already been confirmed to reappear, and we've already seen some concept art of Albert Wesker as well. But the Mercenaries mode for me in Resident Evil 4, and then carrying that on to 5, was just perfection. It was an amazing mode. There was a lot of replayability and a lot of unlockables as well. In Resident Evil 8, we did have a Mercenaries mode included in the game, but it wasn't up to scratch. I didn't quite like it as much as I did for 4 or 5. I thought the format of it was a little bit off, and only playing as Ethan took away some of the specialness of the mode. Specialness is not a word. But it's coming back for the Resident Evil 8 Deluxe Edition. You're getting Lady Dimitrescu, we're getting Heisenberg, and we're also getting Chris Redfield as characters as well. So I think they'll stick with the Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries mode, and I hope they do. I really, really hope they do. and I want to see some of those unlockables return as well. Some of the outfits in the game, we had Krauser, we had Wesker, we had Ada. There were tons and tons of characters to choose from, and using that mode to unlock content was a real blast, and so I really hope they bring it back in Resident Evil 4 Remake. And on top of that, just the unlockables in general. Everyone loves the Merchant from Resident Evil 4. He's like a weird character that never appeared again. Resident Evil 8, you've got the Duke, who's pretty much, you know, the Merchant reborn, but the Merchant sort of way of buying weapons and unlocking them was just at its peak, just at its pure peak in Resident Evil 4. You're going to get crazy guns, you're going to get upgrades, and you've got some new stuff as well for completing Mercenaries mode challenges, Ada's separate ways missions, and going back through the game on different difficulty levels. I hope they do bring these things back. Some of them are staples in Resident Evil, like the completing the different difficulty levels, but I really do hope, after getting some kind of achievement for maybe defeating everybody in Mercenaries or through the game on all modes, you get weird and wacky weapons again, like the typewriter machine gun, or the Las Plagas kind of laser cannon that Leon could use to just automatically blast these Las Plagas away after completing 100% of the game. So those are some of the things I want to see in the Resident Evil 4 Remake when it comes out in March next year. What do you want to see? Let me know in the comments below. Do you want to see the game kind of kept as it is and preserved just with better graphics? Or do you want to see them streamline some old stuff out and add in some brand new weapons and modes? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya!